Local, live, late breaking. You're watching KMAC. This is KMAC Red Raider Nation's Countdown to Kickoff. Sponsored by Covenant Medical Group Orthopedics and Sports Medicine.
Back on Countdown to Kickoff. A year ago, Texas Tech held Kansas running back Puka Williams under 100 yards rushing in a 48-16 win here in Lubbock. This year's Red Raider defense has only held one opponent under 100 yards on the ground all season. Our Eric Kelly rejoins us once again from Lawrence with more on that. Eric?
So the first couple games of the season, the Texas Tech rushing defense, pretty good. But then again, Red Raiders taking on UTEP and Montana State, so not the greatest test there. Recently, not so good. Last week, giving up 182 rushing yards to an Iowa State team that doesn't really do that. Now, the 93rd ranked Red Raider rushing defense taking on one of the hottest running backs, not only in the Big 12, but the country. And star sophomore Puka Williams had his best week to date last week against the Texas Longhorns with 190 rushing yards and 2 touchdowns. And he's been hot really the past 2 games. The first 4 games of the season for Williams, 308 rushing yards. The past 2 games, 327. To put that in comparison, guys like Jonathan Taylor, J.K. Dobbins, DeAndre Swift haven't even touched that mark. So safe to say Williams is probably going to be a threat to get in the end zone every time he touches the ball today.
Puka is an extremely ultra-talented running back, and when that guy gets into the second level, and he's got the ability to hit a home run every single time, as evidenced by his play a little bit Saturday night, but not just Saturday night. You've seen it throughout this year. I know one of our defensive guys said you saw it last year, but the guy can hit a home run.
So safe to say keeping Williams in check is a key for the Texas Tech defense as the Red Raiders try to make Kansas's offense one-dimensional in one way or the other. We'll find out just how good of a job they do it later on tonight. David?
All right, thank you very much, Eric. We're joined now by Dr. Courtney Cowden for our Covenant pregame injury report, and we're talking a little bit about the running game of Kansas. Unfortunately, the Texas Tech defensive line could be short-handed. Nelson and Banasor leaving the game against Iowa State. Later in the game, he's in a boot. I mean, any idea? That could be a number of things, I imagine.
Yeah. There's so many things that could be, and we really don't have a lot of information to go on with that. So, you know, it could be a ligament sprain, strain, something like that. If he's walking around on it, there's probably nothing broken, but that's just speculation. It's just hard to tell.
Meanwhile, the secondary, Adrian Fry, he's been dealing with injuries all year long. Looked to be wearing some form of brace early on in the game against the Cyclones. Didn't come back after, I believe, the second series, and afterwards he was wearing what looked like a soft cast. Any idea what that? It looked like maybe a re-aggravation of something?
You know, this is the time of year when every one of your starters is going to have a little minor nicks and bruises and things, and it doesn't take much to stir one of those up and then get it elevated to another level. We know he's already got something on there, and now he's aggravated even more. This could be, again, just a bad bone bruise or a ligament sprain or even a small fracture. It's just hard to tell.
Yeah, one thing you probably don't want to have to deal with a lot of those things is being in cold weather and trying to keep that stuff warm. Unfortunately, it looks like the forecast is going to be kind of chilly there in Lawrence. What are some of the injuries some of the players probably are going to have to look out for in the conditions they might be facing up there?
Well, anytime it's cold, you worry about your sprains and your strains, you know, muscle cramps, those kind of things, because in cold weather your body's having to work that much harder to move, and you're using more oxygen just to stay warm, and you're using more nutrients and oxygen to keep your muscles healthy, and so they're just that much more susceptible to having an injury and getting in trouble. And so you need to take a lot of extra time warming up, and even double the amount of time warming up in some cases to get everything ready to go, and then make sure you're staying hydrated. In colder weather, the air is going to have less water in it, and you're going to dehydrate faster, which is kind of counterintuitive because it's cold, but that's something else to watch out for.
Hopefully they have jackets and maybe some of those portable heaters on the sidelines as well. Dr. Cowden, thanks as always.
Thanks.
All right, stick around when we return. Eric and I give you what to watch for in today's game. But first, hey, speaking of the weather, Ron Roberts joins us with a look at the forecast there in Lawrence.
A cool front will be moving into Kansas as the day progresses. It's going to be a warm day ahead of the game. But by the time we kick it off, temperatures in the upper 50s. the wind from the north, and it may become a little blustery as the game goes along, as temperatures hit the mid-40s by the end of the game. And that wind, northeast 15 or so, but there could be some wind gusts stronger than that in Lawrence, Kansas for the Red Raiders and the Jayhawks.